English lesson, we are actually going to give a written explanation on how to make a board game. So what does that mean, Miss Arcos? Well, we're just going to explain how to make a board game in a piece of paper. And I'm going to tell you how. Okay? First of all of the topics we've been learning are going to get together today. So I hope you remember that we've been learning about WH questions. We actually made an interview using what, when, where, how, and why. We also learned how to join two sentences using and but, and with similar sentences but opposite sentences. Then we also learned about present tense. Do you remember my sound? Like, I wake up. Hopefully you remember that, guys. And also the last week we learned about uppercase and lowercase letters. So these are things we're going to use to write our explanation. I'm gonna go step by step in a minute, but we already know how to make a board game. Do you remember that first we traced a rectangle, then we cut it, then we drew shapes, we colored them following the pattern blue, red, yellow, green. We also wrote the numbers. We wrote start, finish. We made some cards. These are English cards. Maths or blue can be maths as well, and PSHE. And now we're going to choose some toys or pick some toys that are going to be our pieces here, okay? So all these things that we already know how to do are going to be written down. So we're going to write them down in a piece of paper, and we are going to draw it as well. And just by the way, we're going to use one die, okay? Fine, so now with my new board, I'm going to explain the things that an explanation must have. So first, as a title, we need a title. We always need a title when we're writing something, right? So in an explanation, our title is going to be a question, okay? In this question, you can use how or why, because that's what we do when we are explaining something. We explain how something happens or why something happens. Then we need to write an introduction that has to be exciting. I'm gonna give you an example. Have you ever wondered how to make a board game? Board games are so fun, and you can play with your friends and family. So you know that introduction is gonna make the people who read your explanation interested, and they will want to read more. Then we have to explain how to do it. So if our title is how to do a board game, now we're going to explain step by step how to do this board game. It can also, an explanation can also have or contain how something works or why something happens, right? So this information has to be divided into sections that can also be called subtitles. Keep that in mind. I know it may seem like too much information, but I'm going to explain step by step in a minute. And then finally, we have to illustrate. What does that mean, Miss Arcos? Draw your explanations, okay? So just stay here, guys. So here we have an example of an explanation, right? We have to explain how to make a board game. I'm gonna share this with you, but please do not copy
exactly every word. Try to use your own words, and I'm going to show you how. We've been building this knowledge together so you can write this on your own, okay? So here my introduction, as I explained before, is board games are great to play with the family and friends. Making your own board game is a fun and exciting activity. Have you ever made a board game? This explanation will tell you how. So here, as you can see, I'm trying to make it exciting and interesting to read. Then I divided it in sections. Look, I have make the board, I have cards, game pieces, and the die. So make the board. Here you're going to explain how did you make the board. So I don't know if you remember, but first we had to draw a rectangle of 60 by 40 centimeters on a piece of card. Cut it. Draw 24 shapes. Color the shapes following the next pattern. Blue, red, yellow, green. Blue, red, yellow, green. Write start and finish. Number the shapes from 1 to 24 in order. So maybe this language here is a bit more complicated and you can stick or try to do it very similar to mine. But here you know every word, every single word. Then you have cards. Cut a lot of green, red, and blue cards. Use the green cards to write English questions, the red cards to write maths questions, and the blue cards to write PSAG challenges. Again, you know every word. Then, game pieces. Take 4 little toys such as Lego men and use them as game pieces. Then, die. Use only one die from a different board game or make your own die using Play-Doh or making a paper cube. We're gonna use just one, guys. One die, not 2 dice. One die. And then the board game is ready to play. Then we have to illustrate our explanation. And as you can see, I'm using the same subtitles and the same title. So here we have make the board, and you're going to draw your own picture. Cards, and you're going to draw what you explained before about cards. Game pieces, here are my Lego men. So you're going to draw what you explained about game pieces. Here's the die, and then ready to play. I also attached some verbs with its drawing in case you don't remember the meaning. Remember, we're going to use present tense here. Okay, so I wrote this for you. Draw, cut, color, write, play, make, number, take, use. I know it may be confusing, but number can also be a verb, which means write numbers. And I know some of you may feel very, very used to these verbs, and if that happens, I'm giving you an extra challenge. Here, you can try to use these verbs and show me how clever you are. So these verbs are design, classify, create, decorate, build, illustrate, organize, and measure. Remember, we have to try to make our writing as interesting as possible, okay? And then before sending me your explanation, guys, please check this list, okay? And if you have to go through each one of these steps, and if you notice that there is something you haven't done, please do it first. Go back to your explanation, correct it, and then send it to me. So you're going to be careful about using capital letters, You're going to check, have I used capital letters? Let me see. Okay, yes, I used capital letters at the beginning of each sentence. Done. So you're going to tick it. Finger spaces, full stops, question marks if you need them. Did you write on the line? Did you use and, or but to join sentences? Are your verbs in present tense? Once you have all of these things ticked, then you're ready to send me your explanation. If you feel that something is a bit complicated, please write me an email and I'm going to reply as soon as possible, guys, okay? I hope this is clear enough. Make your own explanation and be very, very creative. See you soon.